Thousands enter, but only one can survive. This is Deadman Reborn.
Hey guys, it's Harry here. 3 things in this video. What's different, how to survive, and how to make money. Let's go. First of all, you start with a fresh account on Deadman mode. That means that everything starts off at level 1 and your bank is completely wiped. All XP that you get is multiplied by 10. If you played Trailblazer League or Twisted League, you get the same kind of buzz as that when you're leveling up so quickly and smashing through so many levels. It's like you're making so much progress, and on the whole, general skilling is just so much more enjoyable. Of course, PvP is enabled almost everywhere. As soon as you go outside the major cities like Varrock and Lumbridge and Falador, you could be attacked by annoying PKers. When you die in Deadman mode, you lose everything that you have on you along with your 10 most valuable stacks from your bank. In addition to that, if you die for a 3rd time, you end up losing your entire bank to the person that killed you. Some combat level bracket worlds have been put in place, so if you're level 3, you're never going to come up against somebody who's level 70 because they'll be in the higher combat bracket world. Okay, so that's your brief introduction to Deadman mode. Now how do you survive in Deadman mode? If you're having a lovely tranquil time, just chopping away in the woods, some PK rocks up, you need to know how to be prepared for that and how you're going to survive and live to tell the tale. I've died quite a few times in Deadman mode, and I can assure you, at least for me, when you die it feels like you've died in real life. It's like waking up from a nightmare. So let's try and avoid that at all costs. I have 3 simple rules for surviving in Deadman mode. They may work for you, they may not, I don't really care, but I'm going to give you them anyway. Always carry a 1-click teleport because it could be the difference between life and death. You have to be out of combat for more than 7 seconds in order to teleport, so it's really important that you get that teleport off before they land the first hit. Rule number 2 is to always have a plan of a way of escaping. If you happen to be unlucky enough to get attacked by somebody and can't teleport out in time because you're just bad at the game, or you're fumbling around, or you're panicking or whatever, you should have a plan of escape. Where are you going to go where you can get a gap on your PKer and either get the teleport or the log out? Rule number 3 is, as a solo player, you should be avoiding multi-combat areas at all costs. Deadman mode is renowned for being run by clans, and they will just wipe you out and you'll hit the deck like a granny on a cruise ship, alright? See you later. Okay, so let's test your Deadman mode instincts. It's a peaceful, quiet morning on the first day of Deadman mode. Just like the little bot that you are, you've decided to chop some willows at Drainer Village. A bloodthirsty PKer arrives from the east. What do? Of course, your first line of action should just be to teleport out as soon as you see them. You probably don't want to go south to the Wizard's Tower because it's multi-combat down there. If it were me, I would probably leg it east to Lumbridge if I had the supplies. If you're lucky enough to make it to Lumbridge, the PK won't want to come anywhere inside that safe zone because they'll just get destroyed by a guard. Well done, you've survived. If you don't really think you have the food or the tanking capability to make it all the way to Lumbridge, your only other option is to try and somehow gap the PKer. Get a 7-second gap between you and them and get the teleport off that way. To do that, I would try and find a set of stairs or some ladders or a cave entrance or something like that. You're then going to work the cave entrance or the ladders or the stairs until you manage to get a gap and you can teleport. The nearest place from Drainer Village would probably be like the Wise Old Man's house, or maybe even Drainer Sewers. If you're stubborn and don't really feel like doing either of those, I would leg it to Port Sarim where you can get a boat somewhere and hopefully escape your PK that way. If you have a high enough magic level and you feel confident enough, you could grab yourself some snare runes, maybe snare your opponent, stand underneath them so they can't attack you, and then you can get the teleport or the log out that way. Okay, let's move on to the fun bit. How are we going to make money in Deadman mode, and what are the different options for me? I'm just going to go through all the different skills on the skill tab. Construction, first of all. Fortunately, your POH is completely safe from other players. By doing the Daddy's Home quest, you can get straight to level 26 construction, and from there it should take around 48 oak planks or 100 regular planks to get yourself to 40 construction. At that point you can build an oak lectern and start crafting up some Varrock teleport tabs. Those are going to be going for some huge GP in the first few days because everybody is going to be wanting 1-click teleports. Maybe later down the line you could craft yourself an altar in your house and charge people to train prayer there. To be honest, you'd have to know people to do that and you have to go on a trust basis there, so I probably wouldn't do that unless you know what you're doing. Next up we've got agility. Agility you might not think has been actually very good for making money, but it is huge in the first day or two. What you want to do is spawn yourself in at the Gnome Stronghold, rush the Gnome Stronghold course until you're about 30 to 50 agility, and then spam your way down to the Agility Pyramid. The Agility Pyramid rewards 10k every time you reach the top, and that is pure GP, which is huge for Deadman in the first few days when nobody has any GP. Just like Agility, thieving can bring raw GP into the game. Go with the Cake and Silk Stalls and Ardy to begin with, and then when you're ready, move on to Ardy Knights at 55. If you want, go after the Rogue's outfit first. It's untradeable, so you're not going to lose it if you die. And then once you've got that, you can just chill in Ardy. You can't be attacked by players, and you can just thieve to your heart's content and trade that GP over whenever you like. Crafting is huge, because a lot of the early game gear and even the late game gear relies on people with crafting to make them. For example, green, blue, red DI'd bodies, games necklaces, rings of dueling, amulets of glory, even furies later down the line. That's the thing with crafting. It starts off good, there's always demand for it, and there always will be demand for it because people will want furies and sufferings for the finals. So if you can be the first one there, you can make a lot of money. The only problem is that it's hard to get started. Once you get to the green DI'd and the red DI'd phase, you should be alright, but you're probably going to have to go with either some way of getting molten glass or more likely go with the cowhides and start making leather to begin with. Next up we have fletching. To train fletching, I would probably just do the good old making headless arrows because it doesn't really cost a lot to train that way. You could make unstrung bows as well when you get to the higher levels. And then finally, you want to make your money by making rune crossbows for people and also magic short bows. They're going to be in high demand. Maybe the magic short bows more in demand early on and the rune crossbows later down the line, but people are going to want rune crossbows for Slayer and magic short bows for PKing. For Hunter, you're going to want to start by doing the Museum Quiz in Varrock, which should get you to level 27. From there, I would go and catch butterflies in the Piscatorius Hunter area and then start doing some falconry. Once you get the levels, you can start hunting magpie implings and also dragon implings. These are the best ones because they literally bring so much raw GP into the game, it can be huge. Especially if you get on this early when not many people have the level, you could have Puro all to yourself, which is huge for GP. Just beware though, because it is a popular PKing spot and it can be kind of hard to escape when you're in Puro. Moving on to mining, there's always going to be some demand for ores, but not a huge amount because people can buy ores from Blast Furnace. Runite ores will always be worth around 10k because of the alch value, even more early on. If you really want to grind out the 85 mining that you need to mine Runite ore, that could be huge, but still, 85 mining is no mean feat even in Deadman mode, so you've got to really love mining to do that one. The positives of doing mining is that you'll have access to the mining guild. Very few PKers early on should have access to the mining guild, so you should be relatively safe. Smithing is a difficult one, especially if you're a solo player. You kind of need somebody to supply you with the ores. They're going to be hard to get hold of early on. There's always demand for cannonballs, but I think the steel bars are mainly going to come from gargoyles, and you're going to have to wait a day or two for people to even get there. So I would leave smithing for the first day or two. If you enjoy fishing, there's a lot of money to be made there. In Deadman mode Reborn, where you would normally get one fish, you're going to get 3. So this could be a huge money maker, especially if you can make it to sharks or karambwans or something like that. Loads of people are going to buy those off you. Cooking is a difficult one. If you're the top cooker in the game, you're going to be able to cook the stuff that nobody else is going to cook, and so there's going to be a decent margin on the raw versions versus the cooked versions. Almost done now, we've got fire making, a very low risk one. If you can get to 50 fire making early on and go to Wintertop, you can start stacking up on Wintertop crates. Now the good thing about Wintertop crates is that they don't disappear when you die. PKers cannot steal these from you, so you can just stack these in the bank for as long as you can before you get bored of dying at Wintertop. Cash them out whenever you're ready, sell all the loot on the GE, and Bob's a good one. If you want a fairly reclined way to make money in Deadman mode, woodcutting is a pretty good one. There's always demand for oak logs, and you can just sit outside the eastern wall of the Grand Exchange and chop away to your heart's content. If you really want to smash it out, I would go for magic logs. These will sell for a large amount early on because people will use them to make magic short bows. If you really can't be arsed with any skilling, you can just sit at the Grand Exchange and flip stuff. Finally, we have Slayer and combat related activities. As I touched earlier about the gargoyles, lots of Slayer monsters drop really good supplies that people will always need, not to mention the uniques such as Abyssal Whips, Tridents, D-Boots, all these things will be expensive. If you're feeling really ballsy, you can go to the Wilderness. Monsters in the Wilderness have access to the Deadman drop table, a specially made drop table with really powerful weapons on there that people will pay through the nose for in order to be ready for the Deadman finals. In Deadman mode, a lot of the uniques have a 4x drop rate modifier. That makes it a really easy way to bag yourself a lot of GP. When you do get your GP, you're going to need to swap it. You're going to need to find somebody on the main game who wants to swap their main game GP for your gold that you've made in Deadman. There are a huge amount of scammers out there trying to steal your Deadman GP off you. Just take your time and trade in little bits and you should be fine. There are absolutely loads of ways to make money in Deadman mode whilst having a huge amount of fun at the same time. But that's it for me. See you later.